You know, as has been the case for the last 6 or 7 years I've been doing this, if the rumor mill is correct, they're usually several months ahead of the mainstream media. That's why at the beginning of the year, some of the stories we were beginning to hear about Marvel Studios putting projects on hold or canceling them outright, especially as it pertains to Disney Plus, didn't have the context we have now and in just the last 2 weeks. From multiple credible sources, including the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, Disney Plus is absolutely broke, and it's hard not to ascribe this $4 billion loss, as Bob Iger confirmed it, to its two biggest franchises where they've spent the most money in Star Wars and specifically Marvel. Today we're going to talk about those exact numbers, what's been revealed in the last 2 weeks, how Disney Plus ended up going broke on these projects, and what it means, of course, for the future of Marvel Studios in the MCU, because it certainly won't look anything like it has for the last 4 or 5 years. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could hit the subscribe button. Thanks to everyone who's been helping grow the channel lately, and if you haven't already, I just kindly invite you to do so. It's the #1 thing you can do to help support us as content creators, plus it'll enter you for the Fantastic Four ticket giveaway. We'll announce a brand new winner at the end of this video. Okay, so this story really starts 2 weeks ago when Disney CEO Bob Iger admitted that Disney lost $4 billion in streaming and putting projects on Disney Plus. These huge budgets for TV shows like Andor and Secret Invasion, both of which went north of $250 million, simply didn't make any money, drive any subscriptions, or mean anything for the bottom line of Marvel, which means pretty much wholesale, they were losses. Not only that, the critical and fan acclaim, the reaction to how bad these projects were, set the franchises back, where you had something like Daredevil, one of Marvel Studios' better offerings during this year, not even reach Nielsen's SoundScan, which is borderline absolutely unacceptable for really any TV show that you're taking seriously, let alone a Marvel Studios television show on Disney Plus. And in fact, putting Marvel Studios Disney Plus shows under a microscope as a whole, the top performing show in the last year and a half has been Agatha All Along, which reached 45 on the charts when shows like NBC's Matlock were in the top 10. Hey, no hate for Matlock, just making a point. Now, Bob Iger was quick to blame actual specifics like the lack of accountability because of the number of projects they were doing, and then took that same point of view and said that it diluted the brand and storytelling, to which they responded by making Marvel Studios' new plan releasing way less content. What he didn't address, however, was the permanent hit that the brand took. We're going to get to that a little bit later in this video. Now, this was recently followed up just days ago by Tony Gilroy, the guy who created Andor, talking about the series costing $650 million for the 2 seasons and 24 episodes. $650 million. Guys, that's taking a TV show that even Star Wars fans themselves barely watched, and is good but means nothing for their bottom line, converts to absolutely zero subscriptions, and spending 3 times the big budget of some of these Marvel movies, and they wonder how they lost $4 billion. This is just reckless spending. And the same can be said for Secret Invasion. If you go back and watch that series, $250 million, where did the money go? And then you look at the news we've been covering over the last 2 or 3 months at the channel. The story where Jeremy Renner in an interview admitted that Marvel Studios only offered him half of the money that they paid him for season 1, and we then got reports later in the week that behind the scenes Marvel didn't even want to make the show. Then we got reports that not only were they only going to do street level heroes, but shows like Nova, a space show, were not in the budget and were indefinitely put on hold, and that specifically Marvel would not be doing any more TV series for characters that were in the movies. Vision would have the last one with Vision Quest. Now, of course, depending on what corner of the fan base you reside, there will be those who have reasons that they think that, quote, Marvel went broke, but can't also deny that Marvel Studios didn't show their lack of experience when it came to television shows at almost every level, very obviously starting with the corporate level and the then CEO Bob Chapek, who thought it was a good idea to make as much content as possible regardless of the quality, and the inexperience with some of the writers and filmmakers Marvel Studios chose to hire. That's where they wanted to save their money. And let me be specific about this. They have had people write versions of scripts for their multiverse movies, their TV shows, and their movies who have never penned scripts in Hollywood before. That's a fact. That also led to some of these television shows having insanely bad pacing, where maybe you would get a good couple of episodes out of the gate, but the show would completely fall apart, not to mention the huge CGI gaffes for shows like She-Hulk, and the absolutely lackluster storytelling that was Secret Invasion. That all added up to a bunch of diehard fans dropping out, tuning out, and not watching shows that were worth the watch, like Loki Season 2, Agatha All Along, and of course, as we just mentioned, Daredevil, which again didn't even find its way onto the charts, which to me is mind-boggling. Now look, in this case, Bob Iger's revelation, or rather admission, may be specifically for Disney+, but the symptoms also exist on the other side in their theatrical releases, where we've seen a decline steadily in the Marvel box office, while they're comparatively successful with the amount that they make to the rest of Hollywood in comparison to how much they cost to make and what Marvel spends on the budgeting, and then splitting half with theaters. These movies, in some cases, are barely or not even marginally successful or making any money at the box office. And so where Marvel was used to trying to hit that $1 billion mark and was still able to with Deadpool and Wolverine, let's face it, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. For some of these other movies like Captain America, Brave New World, or the Thunderbolts, they're not having the kind of success that they hoped, and this is going to lead to the exact same thing, where they won't be able to justify the budgets that they've been spending in the past. Now, incredibly, I'm saying this while Marvel is embarking on making Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, where they've already ponied up $150 million plus for just Robert Downey Jr., plus another $100 million to the Russos, and so really the cost of one of these movies deep before they even shoot film. So it seems a little ridiculous to talk about Marvel Studios possibly pulling back when they're about to embark on making what might be two of the most expensive movies of all time. We know they're on pace to actually do that, but the truth is that the Avengers titles have a certain guarantee, well, at least they used to, like Deadpool and Wolverine, where there's an expectation of $1 billion break even plus. I expect those movies both to overperform regardless of how poorly the brand has done up until now, and the real test will be to see if that can actually save Marvel, which is how they're going to justify this enormous spending. Look, you can always say that something is in service of something else. Basically, if you release Captain America Brave New World and it even comes close to breaking even at the box office, then you just say it's an investment in the Avengers brand. But if the Avengers brand themselves can't actually be profitable, then you justify that by saying, well, we'll invest, $2 billion in making Secret Wars and Doomsday because it's worth it to try to save the Avengers brand and Marvel, the Marvel Studios brand. Then you're always just kicking the can down the road for profitability. And as I've said since the beginning, if Bob Iger actually leaves Disney before he attempts to try to package this up and sell it, I would be totally surprised, because the amount of money he would stand to make from doing something like that and before he retires would be astronomical. Of course, there's only a short list of companies or conglomerates that could even buy Disney. We've talked about it before at the channel. Some of you think it's ludicrous. I think it's ludicrous as well. Still doesn't mean he won't try to do it, and that's the other reason that you would front load huge things like Marvel Studios' Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars with the anticipation of trying to backload the sell and cash out. But hey, you know what? Topic for a different video. Now, what this means for Marvel Studios going forward, if they're under the Disney banner or not, but for projects, say, after Avengers Secret Wars as we wade into Phase 7, expect a ton less live action content on Disney+. I'm thinking maybe one live action show a year, and the rest will be animation, because it seems like they have found some success with X-Men 97. Whether or not that translates into subscriptions, not really revealed, but as far as animation, it's a lot less of a cost and investment than the live action TV shows. And as far as the films, I would expect the budgets on those to go down as well. It's really hard to keep justifying spending $250 million on the budget for a huge movie, then to spend another $100 to $150 million in marketing to start $400 million in the hole, to turn around and say make $350 or $400 million and basically lose half of the money, and then try to write it off as an investment in a bigger brand that is Marvel Studios. Eventually, the checks stop coming. Now, obviously, it's the same as it's ever been for Marvel diehard fans. We were into comics when they were cool. We were into comics when they weren't cool. We were into the X-Men when they weren't cool. We were into the X-Men when they were cool. And if people want to crap on Marvel Studios right now because of the mistakes they've made, or the Disney banner, or whatever they want to go at, that's okay too. we're still here, we're still checking in, and that's where something like Marvel, I think, is maybe down but never out, as long as they can course correct. And if they absolutely knock it out of the park with Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars with the X-Men on the horizon, I think there will always be that chance for them to use the die-hard Marvel fan base to keep the franchise alive. Whether or not it ever crosses over as mainstream as Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, well, that will be Marvel Studios' fight. But for now, we're all still here because we're all still Marvel fans. You guys let me know all your thoughts down below, as always. Okay, we're still giving away PS5s here at the channel for every Marvel drop. The next one is Ironheart, and then we've got Fantastic Four next month. We're also giving away Fantastic Four tickets, several rounds of that this week to celebrate the tickets going on sale. The next winner from yesterday's video is Kevin Brown 3215 for this comment here. Thank you so much and congratulations. Either DM me on Instagram at IamFires or email me on my business email under the About section of the channel, and I will verify you and get the tickets right out to you guys. It's super simple. If you want to be entered to win for any of the giveaways or the Fantastic Four tickets, just be a subscriber, leave a comment on the video, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can find me on all platforms with original music under the name AllFires, and while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.